Welcome everybody back to the next episode of the Primllife podcast. My name is Colin. You all know me. This is my buddy Noah. Known him for like the last year. We are currently at a Boy Scout camp that we are both working at. He works. I just kind of volunteer. I don't want the commitment the whole summer, but he's been here for a lot longer than I have, and he staffed the last summer too. So this is my second year as like sort of a CIT, a counselor in training. I just love this place. It's a great community. You meet some great people and you have some great experiences. But do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself and your job?
Well, absolutely. So what's up, guys? Like you said, I'm Noah. I work at the marina here at Camp Phillips, Ellie Phillips Scout Reservation. I'm currently the marina director, so this means I take your canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding, and your rowing needs for merit badges. While we do have sailing and kayaking, that is on a different part of a different lake, Bear Lake.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else you want me to talk about my hobbies and stuff like that?
Yeah, let's okay. Bring that up.
All right, so yeah, one last thing about campus. I've been working here for 2 years now, technically 3, and I've been going here since for 6 years now as a camper and as a staff in total. As well, I love video games. I love to draw. I am a musician. I play guitar, and I just love outdoors, fishing, swimming. All that good jazz.
Nice. And my sources tell me that you actually have your own podcast. What is that called, and what do you like to talk about?
The podcast is called Papa Perpy's Podcast. You can find this on Spotify. You don't even need to have premium. You can type it up in the search bar. So, what you doing here? Go watch that right now.
Yes, go watch his podcast. I was featured on one of his podcasts.
Episode 3, baby. Episode 3.
Originally misspelled my name. 2 L's.
2 L's. It happens.
Known me for 2 years, 1 year, something like that.
Never wrote down his name once.
Never. I mean, who? If you really think about it, how often do you really see a friend's name on paper? Probably not that often.
Unless you're like going to the same school as them.
Pretty much.
And yeah, that's the only time you'd ever see it.
Or like you have to like clarify, but it's generally counted as like 2 L's, but like there's a few that are 1 L's. I like to think of it as I only take 1 L, not 2.
Ha 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 ha.
Funny joke. We come to camp for the dad jokes, pretty much.
Oh man, one of my favorite parts about being a staff is giving to do the dad jokes to the younger scouts, because they're not there yet to where they're like, that's so uncool, dude.
Yeah.
They're just like it's the perfect timing for them. They're the perfect age to do it too.
And they're also they just don't judge too much. You occasionally get the kid who just tries to roast you and destroy you in single thing he can, but most of them are pretty chill.
Right, but once you're a staff member and you get to a point where you just realize you don't really care. They're campers. Like you're like, I don't want to say you're above them or anything, but you learn to not care because you're so much superior than them. No, I'm kidding. They're here to have a good time, and you're here to give them that experience. So if that means taking a hit or two from them saying, wow, you listen to old music, you're old. I mean, obviously, defend yourself. You know,
yeah, you don't have to lay down.
Take that. No, you can be like, man, what kind of music you listen to? Change the topic or something, but, you're not trying to start some havoc or make them feel bad, because at the end of the day, they're just kids still. They don't mean sometimes what they say.
And you sometimes got to think back, like, to what was I like when I was their age? Because I remember, I don't want to say I was like the worst child ever, because there was definitely some more crazy.
Well, no child's peer.
Exactly. And I think we all have experiences where in our lack of maturity, we said or did dumb things or acted in a dumb way. But it's nice that we've now grown a little bit to where we can recognize that. Do you have any memories is there any point where you see a kid doing something and you're like, I was exactly this way?
Yes. I can't recall a time particular right now. Actually, I can actually. So there was one time where I was in the handicraft building. Handicraft being your place for things, whether it be wood carving to citizenship of the nation. Lots of, what would you say? There's civics merit badges.
Hey, it's just like
arts merit badges too, I should say.
There's like the more
Oh my god, I'm slick.
It's a lot of like government things. There's like and artsy, I'd probably say, like a mix between the two. And then you get like your occasional like crime, like the crime
prevention. I would say borderline your more political stuff with quotations, heavy quotations.
And there's some miscellaneous stuff in there too.
Yes, miscellaneous stuff. I'd say it's a spot where things don't fit into complete nature and survival, like Scoutcraft, which is your emergency prep, and your building fires, cooking. But anyway, so the story goes like this. I was sitting in handicraft. That's not my station of working, but I was sitting there filling up my water bottle when this kid was walking around he was kind of awkwardly walking around with a half smile on his face, but almost like he wasn't trying to smile. He wasn't trying to show off that he was happy. And he would walk around with his shuffling his feet like this, and he would go up to someone and he'd go, "I want to put this on someone's back." And it was a picture he drew, a picture of a guy, just a random guy, no one in particular. And Amber, Amber is another one of our staff members, was talking to him and said, why do you want to do that?" "I don't know. I just want to." And at that moment, I could relate to him, because after that, Amber was like, "Oh, well, I'm sure we can find a spot for it somewhere in here." And he started shuffling over and started like finding a spot to put it on, like a wall or on somebody else, and kept asking everybody else that same question. And that's when I really related to, the kid was trying to outsource his creativity and show everyone what he had made without coming across as bragging or just trying to be, show off or anything.
Yeah.
He was just really excited and he wanted to do it. And I totally related to a moment like that when I was a kid. And I stood there and I just smiled, and I was just like, wow.
It's really cool how you get these like moments where you just kind of connect the dots, and just it explains a lot almost from your childhood. Like you kind of like from seeing it on the outside view, like this is why I acted this way. This is what was going on in my mind. But kind of like pivoting off of that, what is your favorite memory that you've had at camp, either with the staff members alone or with the kids? Because I think the whole experience is kind of just both of them. You don't really have to focus on only teaching. You can focus on like the stuff that happens outside of the classroom as well. But what is your favorite memory?
Oh, well, I think that's a complicated question. I would argue that the campsite and the staff are two different sides of Camp Phillips. They weave in together, but they underlining are different. The staff memories, I should say, those are like second family to me. And the kids are more like, I don't know, they're just happy memories, Like, you're teaching, you're doing a job here, but it doesn't feel like a job. So, if we had to choose, which one would you like, a kid story or a staff story?
Start with the staff story.
All right? The best staff story I've ever had, just like me being happy, or just like something I look back like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, one of those memories that you look back and you like reflect on, and you just remember being so extremely happy. It kind of like took a mental photo, and like this is one of the moments that made my summer.
Well, I know one time it was late at night, and I was walking outside of our staff site, which is where all the cabins for staff are located. And I went onto the road out into the parade ground, which, for those who don't know, is a big field, and at the end is a hill where we have our flag and we do our ceremonies there. I was just walking around, and I looked up, and I just saw this beautiful scenery of the stars and the moon. And the moon was so bright and full, I was mesmerized. I was like, wow, I love seeing this, and I feel like I can see it every day when I go up at camp. And to note on that, it was light everywhere, so it was perfectly lit. I could see across it. It was beautiful how much light was going on. Yeah. And I just I remember I took a little walk around camp at night by myself, just reflecting on life and my choices and me as a person and other people, and it was great. It was really good. Yeah.
I think there's, honestly, like for me, I probably have like a dozen of those memories where it's just like the perfect moment, like you'd rather be nowhere else. There's been, like you said, there's been so many times where you're just kind of staring up and you just kind of like realize how small you are. But you just kind of get this, you kind of see the whole picture for a little bit, and it just creates a really beautiful experience. All right, guys, we had to pause for a quick second. Noah had to take care of some administrative business.
Yep.
Some dude chopped his toe off.
Definitely.
Not quite, but he had to go.
No exaggeration at all.
No exaggeration at all.
Nope, nothing.
Yes. Camp injuries. Definitely. I mean, kind of pivoting off of that, what are some camp injuries you've seen or had yourself?
At camp?
Yes.
Definitely the worst thing I've had at camp is, I think they're called cold sores on the mouth.
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah, where it becomes that really white spot on your gums. Yep.
It ruins eating for the next 10 days.
No, more like 2 weeks. Gosh, those things are
4
terrible.
days more. Crazy difference.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I know, right? No, but I heard that basil salt was good for it. So I don't know, something like that.
Did it burn your mouth?
It burned it, and I literally cried. I'd go up to like a shower house, and I would just like start putting it on my things. I think I got like 4 of those in one summer.
Oh my gosh!
And so I put it on there, and it would burn. It would hurt so bad. I'd cry, but I'd feel a little bit better afterwards.
I would say the worst camp injury that I've had is probably the 7 times I've had poison ivy. That has not. Each time it's not fun. Every year I have it.
You know, my brother has poison ivy. He gets it like once a year, and it gets worse and worse each time. And we don't know how he does it, but I've never ever encountered poison ivy in my life.
It's actually an allergy. So it's an allergic reaction, and then some people, there's actually a few people, I think it's 1 in 16, or maybe it's more than that, but they actually don't have the allergic reaction to that. One of the injuries that I've had that it came from camp. So remember the 5K that we have?
Yeah, I remember the 5K.
So I ran the 5K. It was 2 years ago, and I ran in really, really bad shoes, and I did a great job. I ran really hard. The bad part about it is that there's water on my knee joint from the repeated banging, and it stayed there for a bit, and then the water on my knee became infected, and then it got worse and worse and worse, and put me in the hospital for about 5 days.
Wow, hospital, really?
Yeah, it was a really cool learning experience, but I mean, getting your leg drained 2-3 times, and then watching the infection spread up your leg, that was not fun. And it was kind of like one of those things where...
I didn't realize you were doing a podcast.
No, you're all good.
Oh, is it just audio or is it video too?
No, it's video. It's video too. I'm gonna leave it in there. It's fine.
I don't get. Oh, is it your podcast?
It's my podcast.
Yeah,
Oh,
Primal
what?
podcast.
The Primllife podcast. Yeah.
Oh well.
Sick nasty.
Saw dudes.
What are you guys here for?
I see my sunglasses. I left them here.
Oh, those are yours.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm here to tag along with Beck.
All right, cool.
Saw dudes.
See you later,
dudes.
And so, like, as I woke up one morning, I was the size of like a softball. And I was like, this is not right. And then I walk on it, and I was in the worst pain ever. It was excruciating. I bump it a few times. I'm like pretty much screaming on the inside. I'm like, I told my dad, I was like, we need to go to the emergency room now.
Walk it off, son.
Pretty much. He's like, you're going to school? I'm just like, Dad, no, I don't have time for this. So we go to the emergency room. He's like, oh, you probably sprained something in your knee. You'll be fine. Use some crutches. I'm like, okay. And then I'm sitting in class, and I'm literally dripping sweat. I feel sick. I feel like I have the flu. And it gets worse and worse every day. I see 2 more doctors, and each single one of them says, no, you're probably okay. And then
Probably,
I go in one day, and he's like, and then this dude, really great guy, sports medicine doctor. I won't shout out his name in case this gets extremely popular, but really great guy. And he goes, we need to drain this now. And so he drains it, and I roared because that's how like painful it was. So I'm like, it was like, yes! And it felt really good yelling, but it was the most. That was probably 10 in the pain. And then they had to put the numbing stuff in there first, but to put the numbing stuff in there, they had to stick a needle in there, sticking a needle into the middle of the middle of an area that if you touched it on the surface, it would make me like scream. So that really hurt. But it was really cool watching out what they drained, like taking out what they drained. It was nasty. It was really cool though. Nasty.
What color?
Yellow and red.
So like pissing blood.
I can show you photos.
Oh, definitely. After this one, let's take a look at them after.
Yes,
after.
and then they sent me to the hospital, started me an IV, and then they drained it again to get like the rest of the stuff out there, so in case it didn't get worse. But it was really a really interesting experience because I want to be a physical therapist, and so kind of getting a view from the inside of the hospital, even if it's from the patient's view. And they had extremely good shakes.
Oh, of course, the shakes.
The food service was amazing.
Made it all the more better.
And no, so I would
You're so lucky that I didn't get amputated.
No, at one point they're like, you need to stop eating right now. I'm like, why? In case we have to operate tomorrow. I'm just like, okay. And I asked, there's this lady, she was like my doctor, like is it pediatric? Yeah, the pediatric, the one, the children. She was my children's doctor, and I eventually changed her. She visited me. I was like, should I worry? And she goes, yeah. I was like, oh, wonderful. Tell that to a person in the hospital.
Oh, so, I'd be blunt. If I was a doctor, I'd be so blunt. Hey, kiddo, you got cancer.
And I told my mom that what this doctor said, and my mom goes, son of a bitch. I thought that was funny, but overall, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything because it taught me a lot of valuable things, and it was just a cool learning experience.
Yeah, I think that's awesome about what you just said about kids like learning.
Mm-hmm. Right? And you can relate that back.
Right, and we can relate that back to scouts and everything. I love making the mistakes I did, and some of them I kind of regret. But at the same time, I don't regret them at all. Because here's how I know if I regret something. If I look back and I think, would I go back in time to stop that or to fix it?
Yeah.
The answer is always no, because that made me the person I am today. I might have done something horrible, something terrible that I might have guilt about.
Might have
but
peed the bed.
I have peed the bed. You all know I peed the bed once. But it just made me the better person.
Completely.
You don't become a good person without making mistakes.
Exactly. And I hear so many people thinking, like, they look back at themselves and they cringe, and like, okay, yeah, you can cringe a little bit. But if you think back, without that experience, would you be who you are today? Probably no. Everyone probably has like a little bit of a dark side where they said stuff or did stuff that was wrong, but I feel like they almost had to slip up to learn how to not be the bad person, the negative side that they could have been.
Oh, of course, like, if you didn't make that mistake then, later on the line, down your life,
Could have been worse.
could have made the mistake, and you could have made it worse, exactly, you know?
One of the well, not in a non-serious way. One of the mistakes that I made once up at here was I kept food in my cabin and rats got in, and the rats were later. But I remember hearing these noises late at night, and I was alone. I was alone in my cabin. It was late at night, and I hear this noise, and it literally sounded like little hands were smacking the trash can outside my cabin, and they were little hands smacking the trash can outside my cabin
Because they were raccoons!
I open the door, I look out, and I see 10 pairs of eyes flip towards me 5 feet away. And I look, and then I turn around, and I see all the food in my cabin. And I immediately slam the door and I lock it. And then I walk around, I collect myself, and then I open the door again, I start tossing all the food out at them. And then and then it was good, but there's a hole in the bottom of my cabin.
Yeah.
Swamp.
Yes.
The swamp.
Exactly. Yes.
The worst cabin at camp because I was a CIT and we don't deserve anything.
Hey, I was the one right next to the swamp.
You were the one.
It was still terrible. When I was a CIT, I found a dead, decaying mouse on the top bunk.
I had rats in my cabin eating my roommate's clothes.
Yeah, well, mine's still worse.
Still worse.
Yeah, still worse.
What about bears? Because I had bears.
I've seen one bear on camp.
I've heard a bear. We all know Lance. He's one of my buddies. If you guys follow the Instagram, you've probably seen a photo of me and him. And I was watching Netflix late at night. I don't know what I was watching, but it was something. And I remember I was really relaxed, and I started getting smacked on the shoulder by Lance. He's like, "Bro, there's something inside our cabin. Come check it quick." And I literally hear what sounds like something with a huge hand just bitch slapping the ever crap out of the metal trash can, and it sounded massive. And I'm just like, we're not messing with that.
Like a high schooler fighting someone.
Like a high school.
Bah, 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 bah. Yeah. That's all they do.
But it was very distinctively different from the raccoons later on, which kind of confirmed to me that it was a bear. And then it walked away and it sounded like a human, which is also another sign that it was a bear. Mm-hmm. And so that was traumatizing. I didn't think a bear was going to knock down the cabin, but I definitely thought it could have been eaten.
Reminds me of the scene from The Great Outdoors. You ever seen that movie?
I have not seen that movie.
Good movie. It's got one of the actors from the Ghostbusters.
Okay.
The nerdy scientist guy
Yeah.
from Ghostbusters. He plays another family, and he tells a story about how a house broke down because of the bald-headed bear. Is what
The
they
bald-headed
said.
bear.
Because what happened is it was the most ferocious grizzly bear that could knock down a house, and the guy shot at it, but he only scraped it and got its head, so it never grew back hair on the top of its head. It's a great movie.
I'll watch it.
That came out in the 1980s. Amazing. It's good family fun.
What was your bear experience?
Here, it was nothing too special. First off, that was a really awesome frog that just skipped across the marina.
Caught the tail end of it. It looked like a very, very great frog. Mm-hmm. Would have loved to get to know him.
Actually,
sat him down for dinner.
Fun fact, my first bear, and my only bear experience here, happened to be at the marina.
Oh!
You see, I was over at the shelter over there, teaching my class, and I was looking out this way. And you guys can't see, but there's a hill right up here, a pretty strong elevated hill right there, and following that is tons of trees to your left and to your right. Well, I was teaching and I was talking to them, and I looked out and I happened to see a bear right over there run up the hill into the campsite. Like he was hustling. It was hefty for him, it looked like.
He's a big boy.
Oh, he was definitely a teenager or a baby.
Definitely a teenager or baby. Still probably like 500 pounds, something like that.
I'd say a little bit less than that.
A little bit less, okay.
Mm-hmm, but somewhere around there.
Still could probably take a grown human in a fight.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. You never know.
Maybe not. I don't know. It was sighted in the parade grounds, just running across midday, in the big open field.
Okay.
Campers are around.
I heard about that.
That one. Yep. We chased it over to Cub World. The other side of Camp Phillips on the reservation is a place for Cub Scouts to go for a weekend.
weekend. And I did work there as well, too. And it's a lot of fun as well. It's pretty shorter. You don't get the full camp experience. Boy Scout camp is definitely a lot better.
But you're working with two different types of kids here, so your experience is going to be drastically different, not just the program areas.
Yes.
It's just how you interact with the kids.
And you have less bathrooms to clean up here than you do at Cub World.
Yep.
Yeah, which is always a plus. My second bear experience was, I didn't see it directly, but it was in the area, and I had no clue at the time, but it made a lot of sense. So, last year I wasn't getting fed by I just wasn't getting food. Obviously, keep the drama out of this, but I wasn't getting food here at camp.
It wasn't intentional.
It wasn't intentional, but it definitely sucked. And so I would sneak, and then I learned that you can go into the freezer late at night and take as much as you want that's on like the staff shelf. So I'm just like, this is amazing. So I go in there late at night, and I grab 8 to 10 turkey burgers, and I have them in my hands. And I remember walking back late at night in the dark, and I hear noises in the woods, and I'm freaked out. This is probably the most scared I've been, probably ever, because carrying food in my hands, and definitely bears in the area, maybe not right by me, but in the area, it was very scary. And it's like probably like a quarter of a mile walk too, so it's a little.
Yep, it is definitely a quarter of a mile.
Maybe a third at most if you take like the long way around.
If you're taking the long way around, you're looking at decently almost a half mile.
Decently almost a half mile. So you're in the dark for a really long time, and you're right by the woods. So you're just waiting for a bear to like run out at you and just eat you across, like just punch you in the face with its claw. And as much as I like to think that I could probably fight a bear, I probably can't, especially because they weigh a lot. And what are you gonna do when you punch a bear?
Yeah, box with it.
Box with it. Go to fisticuffs. 180-pound child, literally a child at that time. But it would have been legendary. It would have been completely legendary.
You fighting a bear.
Imagine you guys hear noises and you just come out. I'm just going toe to toe with a bear.
Yep, and then it just slaps you across the face. You're on the ground, unconscious. And you get beat up.
And I get
the shit beaten out of
you.
you.
And then he flexes on me, right?
Yeah, and then he does a flex and then takes your burgers and runs away. And they'll be like, damn, everyone come look, Colin's got the shit beaten out of him by a bear.
But I would have gone down as fighting a bear. The CIT.
I guess, but like, we would have definitely taken some pictures. You would have got like purple spots on you, lots of cuts.
As long as I get some cool scars.
Cool scars? I have a cool scar on me, but it's a really pussy story. See that right there on my arm? You've seen that. I've showed you that.
Yeah, you have.
Yep. I got that, I've got that. Yeah, I got it before last year, yes. Yeah, but it was super dumb. I don't think I want to tell the story.
You don't want to tell the story?
Well, it was literally just me and my girlfriend were playing. We were fighting over a stick at a park, and the stick had like a branch coming off of it, but it was only only the edge of it, and it was sticking on my skin. It was like poking into my skin, and I said, hey, whatever you do. I was like, stop. We were pulling it back and forth. I said, don't pull it. She went, and then it went right across my arm. And now I have a scar of it. I mean, it's a pretty cool scar, nonetheless.
You wanted me to hear my cool scar story?
Not really.
It's almost.
I'm kidding.
It's almost more embarrassing than yours. So I was wrestling with my girlfriend, and in the most innocent way possible. And so I went to go to tickle her feet because she hates her feet being tickled. And she goes, Colin, stop tickling my feet. And I go, no, I'm not going to stop tickling your feet. And so I tickle her feet and she kicks me in the face hard enough. It didn't draw blood, but it really like messed up the skin in the area. So I don't know what exactly it is, but it somehow became permanent. And if you look at the right lighting, you can still see it. And it hurt a lot too. I got kicked in the face. But I learned from my mistake.
Yep.
That's all that matters. And then I have like the scar on my leg from when they took stuff out. I have a few like on my, I have like one on my cheek. I don't know how. I think my brother like scratched me with like a toy. And then I have one that looks really cool and then it goes across my chest. It looks like I got stabbed.
Okay.
But don't know how I got that one. Probably just more me being clumsy. I'm the guy who like walks into walls. You know, it has zero spatial awareness. So that's always fun. You haven't seen me at my worst. It's bad. I've
seen you like pretty down.
I've literally turned corners and I haven't even made the corner because I literally just walk straight into the wall and fall.
I've had stuff like that where I just like straight up just don't have any energy. They're like the brain doesn't process and you just go right into it, right into a wall or something. And
and another funny story I want to tell at camp specifically. So I knew you then. I knew you at this point. We weren't friends, but I knew of you and I thought you were a great dude. Of course, I didn't even think that.
Thank you.
But I was sitting outside of the pavilion, There's a pavilion over there where it's
You mean
more
that
like,
one right there?
no, it's the commissioner's one where you can charge your phones. So there's like a spot where you can charge your phones. And I came up as a scout last year, and
right.
I didn't have electricity in my cabin. So I was there sitting with a friend. We were charging our phones, and this kid, I don't know his last name, so it's just literally just Jr. Everyone knows Jr. He's a funny guy, very quirky kid. But he's riding his bike. And he's playing music really loud. And the kids are chasing him because kids are weird and
Oh, I know
and
this one
crazy.
too. I know this one
Yeah,
too.
I told this one because it's literally one of my favorite memories. He's riding his bike. He's looking behind him, and then he flips over his handlebars into a ditch, and I'm standing there just like, what just happened? And then he gets up, dusts himself off, and then he goes back to riding his bike. But it was just one of the weirdest things that ever happened because this kid comes back blasting music and then flips over his bike, gets back up, and then proceeds to continue going on. And I'm glad he didn't get hurt, but that memory will serve to humor me for years to come.
I get very foggy when I think of memories. I think something has to trigger the memory if I want to recall like really good stories because everything just kind of meshes in together.
Yeah.
You know, I can pick specific parts off of camp, but I need someone to be like, this day, and then I'll go, all right, memory vault, takes out scroll. Oh yeah, I remember that story.
Yep. And for me, I think the way that like really became a good way for me to make those memories was taking photos.
Photos,
It's an instant snapshot. It'll trigger all the memories that you might have kind of like got put in the backlog, and it'll allow you to relive the past. As long as you're doing it in a healthy way, I think it's a very, very nice way to preserve memories. That's why I think it's almost kind of sad too, because like people kind of make fun of me for taking so many photos sometimes, and my thing is I don't want to forget all the good memories I had, and forget all the people that made an impact on my life. Especially like The Notebook. Have you seen The Notebook?
I don't think I have.
It's a terribly sad story. It's really cheesy, but pretty much these two people fall in love and they live this amazing life, and then literally one of them starts losing their memory and becomes like the person, like their partner.
They have Alzheimer's.
Yes, and they become a stranger, and then they die together at the end of the movie, which is one of the I don't know. It's just so sad, but I don't want to like have that thing where I just kind of forget. I forget who I am. I forget my roots. I forget what made me who I am. So I like taking photos. As long, and if you're doing it in a healthy way and you're not obsessing over the past, if you're not trying to live in the past, but remember the past, I think it's very, very, very beneficial.
I would agree with that.
And kind of to end on this too, what is the most meaningful memory you had at camp?
Meaningful memory? Be a little bit more in depth because I have a lot of meaningful things that happened to me at camp.
Okay.
Lots of
What is
learning.
a memory that you look back at it and you go, this contributed drastically to what made me me? What made me me?
What made me today?
Yes.
I can't tell you a moment, but I can tell you a person.
Okay.
There's a guy. Everyone knows him. The man, the myth, the legend, Will Salinas. I'm going to give his full name out
Yes.
because everyone knows this. He would love the cloud anyway.
He probably would love the cloud.
If this happens to blow up in the future...
He has his sixth sense where when people are talking about him is tingling right now.
Yes, I can tell you. But if this happens to blow up in the future, I can guarantee you he's probably out there being a movie star right now.
Definitely.
But this guy was the embodiment of everything I wanted to be. This guy was... Well, he was good looking. He was fit, right? Obviously, you have to add that.
Confidence.
He was. Well, we'll get to that too. But good looking, fit. His skill level was crazy. He knew what to do, when to do, how to do it. His fashion was great as well. He was amazing. But just throwing that all to the side, it was the personality and his traits that made me look up to him. He was always hyperactive. Not hyperactive, but he always had energy, and he was always willing to share it and give it. He didn't care what anyone else thought of him. He was him, and he would do whatever he thought was right. Granted, he was right about the stuff. He would, he would enforce the rules, but he would do it in a good way.
Yeah.
He was a hard worker. He was also a supporter. If he wasn't doing work, he'd be like, "Hey, you're killing it, dude." That's what he said to me a bunch, and I started picking up on it. I say sometimes killing it, just because of him. And he was just a great all-around guy. Everyone loved him. He was very popular amongst staff and kids. And what I loved so much about him, besides everything like that, is that he was a caring person. He was kind of like I'm not going to say perfect guy because no one is perfect. But if someone was trying to label someone as perfect, I could understand why someone would want to label him as perfect.
Okay.
I would definitely disagree because every person has their flaws.
Exactly.
But it was just something about him, knowing that he was a caring, kind, hardworking, humoristic, and entertaining guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to be my first year of camp. And being a first-year staff, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle that you live by when working here. And I don't think the camera can even see us.
Hey, I don't think I'm gonna attempt to brighten it up, but I think at this point it's just gonna be purely audio. At this,
Oh, bummer, man.
yeah, so the background looks pretty cool though.
But when you choose this job, you're choosing a lifestyle. And I'm a 15-year-old teenager finding out who I am. I just got out my first year of high school, and he was the person I needed at my life in that time to direct me. And I feel like he put me on the path that I am today. I have definitely tweaked my character sense, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. But he was what I needed to really aspire to be. And that year as a staffer, I was very energetic, and I dressed a little bit like him, in the sense that I would use tanning sunscreen, and I bought sunglasses.
Was that the skit year where it was like babes, bronze, and biceps?
No, I don't think it was.
I think that's the one before.
No, it was it was about the bronze gods.
The bronze gods, yes.
Yes, and so that he really helped me in that time. And just like an art style, it changes as you get better, right? And that was what it was like for me. I had a good art style going, but it can be improved upon. It can always be better.
Exactly.
And I took my art style and I shifted and I made it better.
And that's how you should view life in general.
You're never done.
You're never done. I'm really sorry to interrupt here, but I saw this perfect moment that I kind of had to like bring up.
No, go for it.
And I'm gonna let you continue for your story. Everyone thinks that, I'm gonna reach this point where I'll be happy, and I can stop being happy. But a lot of us humans are meant where we are designed to seek self-improvement and self-actualization, which is, if anyone's ever done any psychology or read any psychology textbooks or took any psychology text classes, they've heard of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is pretty much starts at the bottom. It's like water, food, shelter, like family, friendship, and then it goes up from there. And at the top is self-actualization, where you have achieved everything that you were meant to achieve, and you have nothing left to conquer. Kind of like the quote from I think it's Alexander the Great. The guy in history.
The guy in history. Oh, of course.
Oh, yes,
Guy in history.
No, this dude. He pretty much took over the known world. And his quote was
Hitler.
Not quite.
I'm kidding.
I'm not going to be quoting Hitler, but I think it was Alexander the Great. And his thing was and the quote was, and when he saw his what he conquered and saw that he had nothing left, like no goal to reach, he wept because he didn't have the next goal to reach towards. He had stopped, and we aren't meant to stop. We aren't meant to be happy with what we have. We are meant to try harder every day, and that's kind of what I want to live by. There's a guy I follow, Coach Greg. His thing was when people ask him how hard should you train, harder than last time, and that's how we should view life. How hard should you work? Harder than last time. Yes, you can have fun. Yes, you can enjoy the small things, but you should never be happy with yourself. And how I like to view myself is to the point where you're not like depressed because you're not where you're at, but you're working towards your goals in a happy and positive way. I like to say it as blissful dissatisfaction, where you're loving the process, you're loving the steps you're taking to becoming better, but you're dissatisfied with the product you have. You're trying to get better, you're trying to improve. And like you said with yourself, the character, you took the cues from him. You saw like the success that he had, and and then you took it and you made it yourself. And you, without just straight up being a copy and being one of those guys, you use the tools that he instilled upon you to improve your life. And I think there's a lesson we can all learn from that too. Never be too. Oh, there's a bug that flew at my nose. Never be too not full of yourself, but too.
Never want to be that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that too. But never be too satisfied to the point where you won't learn from other people. I learn from you. I learn from everyone around me.
Yeah, don't go until you get closed-minded. Exactly. And I feel. I agree with what you're saying that you want to try harder every day, but I also disagree that I feel if you just keep going around thinking I need to try harder every day, and not look at what you actually have accomplished yet, then you're not doing something right. You don't need to look at it as I need to work every single day to get better, but you need to not work every day, but you just need to be satisfied some days, and sometimes I'd say
I get that.
you don't need to work. You don't need to work.
And I respect that too, and I think what we're trying to say is like pretty much the same thing exactly. You should always be working to better yourself. There are some days where you shouldn't like work yourself to over exhaustion.
Or I'd say just work yourself in general, because life is too short for us to just spend our time tiring ourselves.
And I think if you're doing what you love, it isn't work. So, and if what you're doing contributes to your goals and it's not work to you, and you're doing work, but it's not work to you because you're loving the process. I think that's what we should all aspire to be like. But I really enjoyed your story, like Will Salinas. He's a funny guy, and really, really confident. And I can see why those values would, and seeing somebody express that would help you grow up. I kind of want to tell mine too. There's a person, and at the time, I'm not going to say names because they still kind of work here, and they're not anywhere near here right now. But
Used to work here, or
they still currently do. I can tell you later. I don't want to drop any names.
I'll
on the podcast.
I'll probably figure it out.
You'll definitely figure out. And they were friends to me in a time where I definitely really needed it. I had that pretty much typical story like in middle school and high school where I kind of bullied a little bit. I mean, I think everyone has that. I'm not gonna stomp my feet and act like I was cheated out of a happy childhood because I truly did have a good childhood. But it was at a time where I just felt alone. There wasn't anybody who really wanted to be my friend or acted like they were my friend, and that really, really hurt. And then I come to camp, the place that the last few years have been a home to me, and then they showed me kindness. They really were a friend when I needed one, and it helped me grow. And to this day, I really appreciate it. And they honestly they have no clue what they did. I've never told really anyone about it, but
I know who it is.
They showed me. They honestly just treated me like a person, and it was kind of beautiful. And
that person doesn't even have to be perfect themselves.
Exactly.
They can have so many flaws. They could even be, I'd argue, a bad person. But if you can take away something from them to better motivate yourself or better improve yourself, then that person has done their job. As not like technically like oh, I need to set out and do something, but as communicating, and as people, as human beings, we are social. And if that social, I'm talking about doing this as a social thing, is our job.
Exactly. And we need to seek comfort and seek counsel with people like us too, and just kind of learn, get better, have good times, and live life to the best. And I think here at camp, we are given the perfect situation to.
That's right.
We are given the perfect opportunity to learn, to grow closer to the people around us, to develop bonds, to develop life skills,
to start changes,
to big changes. And I think it's really sad that people don't take those opportunities and they don't choose the better route. But you have one piece of life advice that you want to give to the audience.
One piece of life advice.
One thing that you kind of draw on in times of need or times of struggle. What would it be?
Say that again one more time. I mean,
if you had one piece of advice that helps you when you're struggling, what would it be?
Definitely, for me, and I want everyone to do this. And I know that sounds very demanding.
No,
but
try it. Just try it. Try it once or twice, and if it doesn't work,
if you're struggling, you need to look at what you've accomplished. Look back and think, I've come this far with this many things. Look at how much stuff I've done in the 16 years that I've been alive. And I need to look at what was the power or the motivation behind those things that pushed me. Take that energy, muster it up, plan it out, and prevail. And use your friends and family as the key to that.
Yep.
It's always about the friends and family that motivate me.
You're not weak if you have to rely on other people.
You're
stronger.
You are a wiser person.
You're willing to draw on the people around you. That makes the real successful people. If those who think that they're lesser for asking other people for help they don't know how to, they don't quite have the right frame of mind to be successful. You gotta learn. And for me, I'm stubborn. I think that there's been a lot of times where I should have asked for help in my life, and where I think I could have avoided a lot of situations that hurt me. But it took those situations to kind of teach me that I needed to confide in my friends and to use my connections around me to help and keep me going.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives me shivers. That's so relatable in my life, and I think other viewers watching could really use that as well too.
Yep. One last thing I just want to say is the strongest key, again, not to beat a dead horse if I have been, but use the family and friends around you. That is honestly the biggest strength a person has.
Exactly what I had in
is their
mind.
bonds.
Oh, and that's here at what we do at Camp Phillips. We allow those bonds to grow, get bigger, create new bonds.
Crush them and beat them down and abandon them.
Definitely not. It's all positivity.
It's all about the positivity and breaking them down, baby.
No. Don't listen to him.
No, I'm kidding.
All here at LE Camp Phillips in Rice Lake?
Rice Lake,
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
Rice Lake, Wisconsin. Where can they find you on social media?
Social media, you can find me at the real chef. I post literally nothing, but it's an Instagram.
He does post
nonetheless.
nothing.
Purple Shards is my YouTube channel. Give that a look. It's pretty cringy, but you know what? If you like it, then that's fine with me. And of course, if there's something you had to check out at all, it would be Papa Perpy's podcast to you. And I hope you can check those out. Thank you so much for having me.
Check them all out on Spotify as well.
Yes, Spotify. You can find that there.
Hope you enjoy the conversation. All of his links will be down below. Thank you all for watching. Peace.
See ya.